All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to 160 members and counting, 167, I think. Yeah, so welcome all of you. It's amazing to have you all again. I'm quite excited for the enthusiasm that I'm seeing right now because I guess last time we had close to the similar number that we are having right now. But I'm hoping that around 200 students join us today because it is a very important module of IBC Continuous Education Program, which in short we call IBC CEP. So today we will be starting with the first session. And before that, I would like to just give you quick overview of what happened last time. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so I hope you're able to see my screen. Yeah, so last time, which was the orientation sessions on 23rd and 24th, they were basically to set the stage of what was to come, which is the technical sessions, which is module 2, and then the building sessions, which is module 3. So a lot of you participated. We had around I think around 400 unique participation from students from multiple colleges from across India who participated in the orientation sessions. And yeah, by the way, you all have already you not all, but most of you might have already received the participation certificate for module 1, which was the orientation. So congratulations for that. I mean, that calls for a lot of appreciation from IBC Media's team because we know that it took a lot of hard work because you guys have your colleges, some from here and there, tests are going on, exams are going on, or some of the other hurdles that you faced, but at the same time, you did come and joined us for about 2 hours for 2 continuous days. So that's a big achievement. So I would like to first of all appreciate that. And once again, congratulations for getting the certificate of participation. But that's just the beginning, by the way. Participation certificate is just the first step of what lies ahead. So let's talk about what lies ahead. So, as you know, we are now in module 2 of continuous education program. And let me just give you now, since we spoke about the participation certificate, let me speak about the education certificate that you will get after completing the module 2, which is the modules that we are talking about right now, of which the first session will be starting today. So as you know, and I am sure none of you have a doubt. Okay, let me just check. I think there's some Q&A. I haven't received the participation certificate, not received the certification yet. All right. So a lot of you might have attended one session, or some of you might have attended just a couple of minutes. So there are different criteria through which we allowed the certificate. So I mean, do not worry if you have not received the certificate. Focus on what lies ahead. We have a criteria where we choose who is supposed to get the participation certificate because a lot of you might have joined for a couple of minutes and left. I mean, you are not getting a certificate for that because I mean that would be just unfair for students who spent a lot of time, hard work in coming there, asking questions, and understanding each depth of what we are speaking. So, but do not worry. I mean, this is just the start, and we are now talking about the education certificate. So you still have your windows open, and this is going to be the most important element of the entire CEP program. So make sure that you focus on what we are doing right now. All right, I am sure
So,
that you do not have. Hello. Uh,
yeah, so Deepak, can you give me 30 seconds,
yeah,
please?
yeah, absolutely. So please.
Yeah, thank you. So, guys, certificate is a mechanism for us to kind of appreciate you for your efforts, and that's how we see the certificate. There are certain fundamental things which we consider when we award these certificates, and these certificates are pretty valuable in many ways. First, these certificates give a reflection on your commitment to learning, which is very important for us, and that is what we are trying to do. I mean, we have only one purpose here, to make you successful in your Web3 journey. Now, what we also see that, like Deepak mentioned, in module 1, which was an orientation program of 2 sessions, wherein we had covered the fundamentals of blockchain, the the origin of blockchain, how it all started, how did Bitcoin start, what were the underlying technologies in Bitcoin which really gave rise to the blockchain technology at large. And then, it really opened up into a world where, the use cases became limitless. Now, the second day, what we spent time last in module one, basically was, how do you really become a Web3 developer? Now, becoming a Web3 developer is a journey itself. And what we did in module one, session two, we gave you a glimpse of the whole process encapsulated in 2 hours. Now that started with the infrastructure for blockchain, that included the front end development, that included the back end development, that included the other aspects of Web3 programming, be it the environment, development environments, be it the compilation environment, be it the understanding of the whole, I would say, ecosystem of the development. So there are several things that we covered. Now, module one certificate we have given to those people who have spent some amount of time in those 2 sessions. Now, it may have happened that you may not have attended these 2 sessions, with the length that we expected you to attend, or you may not have attended one of the 2 sessions. Now, if that is not the case, if you have attended both the sessions, with the significant amount of time, at least half of the time, please reach out to the IBC Media team, and we will take a look at that, and we will give you a certificate if you have not got, and if you qualify the criteria. But the more important thing that what I am going to be telling, Deepak, if you allow me, is basically that these certificates, now we are starting today module 2. Now, module 2 is basically one of the heart, or the core of the the IBC Media Continuous Education Program, wherein our dev advocates of IBC Media and the expert trainer from us, from our side, they will take you through these steps very, very slowly, progressively, talking about some of the technicalities, giving you, and of course, giving you, assessing you for your understanding of the subject in quiz. At the end of every session, there will be a quiz where we would want you to understand and grasp and fully participate in the whole class. Don't be a participant here who is not in the class. You have to be in the class, really participate, ask questions, ask questions, and participate in the discussion. All these things are going to enhance your learning experience and your learning outcome. So these are very, very important things. Now, one last thing before I give it back to our host Deepak is, these certificates are, first of all, as I said earlier, they show your commitment to learning, and these certificates are very, very valuable. Another thing that I am also saying, that once this module 2 gets over and you progress to module 3, wherein you will start building the real life products, MVPs, which is called minimum viable products, or the decentralized applications, dApps, with us, and we will help you build those applications. Now, in that process, if and once these stages are done, we will help you get internships in the industry. First of all, we will we'll help you get internships with IBC Media, wherein we will help you build stuff, and then we will be giving you opportunities to go to the real world, and we will help you get some internships which may be paid, which may be very, very valuable. Plus, we will also be helping you with the job placement opportunities. But when we do that, we definitely want to ensure that you really have participated in these 3 modules with utter sincerity, and you have having the certificates of participation or education is very, very important for us to consider you for those opportunities. So in a nutshell, what I'm going to say that these certificates are not just a showpiece certificate. These certificates mean a lot to us, and these certificates should mean a lot to you. And these certificates will be very, very vital for us as a tool to identify whether your learning was effective or not. If your learning was effective, I think certificates are the one thing. The second thing is that you have got a very, very bright future in Web3 development. So and definitely before I give to Deepak, I want to urge you, I want to request you to participate with your fullest attention and with an intention to learn here by spending the required amount of time in these sessions, plus learn and then do good in the quiz that happens at the end of every session. That's pretty much from my side. Deepak, over to you.
Yeah, thank you for the insight, sir. So I'm sure that all the students who have got the certificate and the students who have not got the certificate have now a clarity as to how and why the entire process works. And I mean, that said, we are sure that you will keep on the momentum and complete this entire program with flying colors, because I mean, it's not that in a day or two you will become a blockchain developer, but it's an entire journey where we are helping you every step of the way. So make sure that you capitalize on this entire process. So once again, congratulations for getting the participation certificate. It's an amazing feat for you as a student. And we wish you all the success in the future with IBC Media. Now, I would like to come to.
I have one input, Deepak, if you don't mind. Just
Yeah,
one
please
minute
go ahead.
input from my side. See, in the Q&A, I see some of the questions being raised as anonymous attendees. So we will not be able to identify you. So kindly ensure that you don't, attend as an anonymous attendees. Okay. So that's very important. Otherwise, we will not be able to trace you as to who this such a person is. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So all said, I am sure you realize that this is just the beginning. All those who could not attend the orientation session, I would request you to kindly go and check it out on IBC Media's YouTube channel, links of which will be shared with you in the chat box. The participation certificate basically signifies that you now have taken the first step on this path of becoming a blockchain developer. And not just a developer, you'll also learn how to be an entrepreneur in the process. You obviously now have a better understanding of the technology, as Praveen sir has already mentioned. Its use cases also is something that we have already covered, the overall blockchain development arena and the landscape of the industry, and what role basically you will play in creating value in the ecosystem. We have basically touched upon all of these points in our orientation sessions. And now that we begin module 2, please understand that you are now making yourself eligible to earn the IBC Media's education certificate, which is so module 2 is all about, so from the certification point of view, module 2 covers the entire sessions of module 2 will get you an opportunity to earn the IBC's education certification. I mean, it goes without saying that the IBC team has spent countless hours in creating this elaborate and equally exciting education program, and gaining and getting you an in on this, and you earning that education certificate with flying colors, with obviously with a lot of hard work, is the biggest reward that our team will basically get for its efforts. And the education certificate is basically a sign of your knowledge, the not just knowledge, but also the knowledge gaining capability, which will show that you're not just learning about the technicalities of blockchain, but simultaneously you are getting deep and understanding on how to spot new opportunities and how to identify areas of the blockchain space where you can grow and leverage. This certificate will also showcase that you have learned about the key players who have made their mark in this industry, and also understand their roles in the industry, so that you can find your space and try to come up with your ideas for projects and build with us in the building session. And in all of this process, you will obviously know how to find and evaluate uh, your own project, work with your teams, and use the latest tools and technologies to build blockchain solutions. If you're ready to put in your hard work, and obviously the honest hard work, not just opening the webinar and just letting it go while you're doing something else. So none of that, basically, an honest hard work, then I guarantee you that you will provide we will provide you with the knowledge and skill that through which you can basically make a positive contribution to this industry, and you will be ready to start building your career in blockchain. An IBC media certificate is basically going to be your hard proof to the world of the depth that you have gained in blockchain. So in order to stay ahead and make a mark, you should take full advantage of this opportunity knocking at your door right now. I mean, without having to spend any penny, all we are requesting you is to put in your honest hard work. With our education ecosystem, you are creating, not just creating, you're also opening doors for your own selves for internship and placement opportunities, like Praveen sir has already discussed. I mean, you might already know, but I would like to reiterate that an internship is a great way to gain hands-on experience and get a foot in the door before others. You get to learn about the technology and process involved in the industry, and you work with industry leaders and experts. So, I mean, the scale at which you can grow is unmatchable. It's incredible. We cannot comprehend it. You cannot comprehend it. It all comes down to, it boils down to your own hard work. So I mean, I think if I were you, I would take this extremely seriously. Like our CEO, Mr. Abhishek Pitti, said that if he had this opportunity when he was in college, like most of you guys are, I think I mean, he has already built tremendous project and great achievement that he has already achieved at such a young age. But I'm sure that what he meant was basically getting an opportunity like this will obviously give anyone an opportunity to change the world. So make sure that you are that person who will be changing the world. So how do you basically qualify? I would like to come to the next point, which is how you will qualify for this education certificate. So one of the elements is that your attendance is going to be mandatory for at least 7 sessions. So we have in total 9 sessions for the IBC module 2, which is these technical sessions. So you will have to attend at least 7 out of the 9 sessions. And each of these sessions will have quizzes. So make sure that you complete these quizzes. And I would request you to focus I mean, learn the sessions and be part of the sessions in the most attentive manner, because we will be evaluating your quiz scores as well. So we want you to score at least 50%. I mean, one answer in two has to be correct while you are giving these quizzes. And at the end of today's session as well, you will have a quiz. And obviously, we'll also be giving you assignments. So completion of assignments could be easy, could be a little challenging. So if you complete those assignments, there will be definitely some really exciting brownie points. So make sure that you do all of this. And if there is any doubt along the way, during the session, after the session, midnight, you're trying to, work at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., or whatever time you are working on any of these sessions, or any of the courses that we create for you, or any of the problems that you face while doing an assignment, just drop in a message in our Discord server in the CEP channel, and we will address it for you. So do not worry about it. We'll be helping you in understanding everything that we expect from you. So today we will be talking about the Rust Hello World, and we have with us our expert, Mr. Deepak Chaudhary, who most of you already would know from the orientation sessions. And along with him, we have Mr. Selvaraju, who has been with us in the earlier CEPs as well. And I'm sure if there are people here from our Vizag Hackfest, you would already have met Selva sir. So first of all, thank you, Deepak and Selva sir, for joining us today. And I would request you to take this session ahead. And yeah, let's share some knowledge with our students here. Deepak, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Deepak. First, let me share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Deepak, we can see.
Yeah, you are seeing my PPT, right?
Right now, no. I can see other things. I can see a Word document.
data types and all. Yeah.
Right now, I'm seeing the Rust line book.
Let me share again.
Yep, you can see the PPT now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Deepak Chaudhary, working as a blockchain advocate in IBC Media. I have more than 1 year of experience in Polkadot blockchain. Along with me, we have Silva Raju, who is an expert trainer. So today we are going to start our new journey in programming world. For that, we are going to study Rust language. Yeah, but before that, guys, I need to ask one thing from you all. Can you please rate yourself in any language you understand? Like you can give 0 if you don't know any language, and if you are advanced in certain language, you can like put 3 or 4 or 5 with the language name. We are not going to judge you by this. I'm asking you this to know that how is our audience, so that we can teach accordingly. So can you put the rating number in the chat box? And guys, please comment fairly. Okay, 0 programming knowledge, no worries. Yeah. Some of you have pretty much knowledge about the Java, Python, and some of you don't have any experience. No problem. 8 in C language, Python. Okay. We'll start with the basic. Don't worry if you don't know anything. We'll start with like 0 level. So why we are using Rust here, or why we are studying Rust? As you know, we are going to build on Polkadot blockchain. As you understand, if you attend our module 1 session, like what Polkadot is, it is basically a blockchain which allow different chains to interact with each other through a centralized mechanism. The chain which interacts with each other via relay chain are called parachains. And these parachains are built on substrate framework. And in substrate framework, Rust language is used. That is why we'll first understand the Rust language. Okay, chat disable server.
I think Deepak, there is some noise when you talk. Can you just check whether there is anything that you can do to make it smooth?
Yeah. Let me. Now, is it fine?
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Okay, these are the topics which will be covered today. First, we'll take the overview of the Rust programming, and then we'll set up the ecosystem to perform certain tasks on the Rust. Then we'll see the data types, and at last, we'll come to the control statements. Okay, what is Rust? Like how many of you know about Rust language? I'm not saying you have done some work in Rust language. How many of you know? Guys, please be interactive. Rust is the programming language. I don't know. Oh, no. Okay. So let me explain. Rust is a system programming language which gives you access and fine-grained control over system resources, memory, etc. So anything you can build that is low level in C++, you can build with Rust, and that includes databases, compilers, low level networking code. Like we can say Rust is a best trade of security and efficiency. Like I have seen some of you know the C++. Let's compare Rust with the C++. Some points we can discuss. Rust is better in memory safety. However, C++ is better in terms of compile time and pointers. Rust is better in framework support, while C++ has better libraries. Also, the big point of Rust is Rust has a very supportive communities. Okay. Let's see the features. We have a lot of features of Rust. Out of them, we take 3 of them. First one is a CLI. But what is CLI? CLI is a command line program that accepts text input to execute operating system functions. In the CLI program, we perform certain tasks through writing some commands in our terminal. Okay. Now, second one is the WebAssembly. It is a new type of code that can be run in modern web browsers. In this, our code get converted into binary format, by the help of which we can run heavy applications on the browser. Also, Rust provide a very user-friendly compiler that gives the problem as well as the solution on compiling. Let me show you how this thing works. Are you able to see my ID?
Yes.
Let's say, let's try to run this. Cargo run. Don't worry about the commands cargo run and all. We'll see. Now our code is running fine. Let's remove this and try to run again. Here, you can see this is saying the problem. Also, he's trying to say that we need to add the semicolon at the line number 51. If we put it, then we can run. You can see if you face any colon or anything you missing, the compiler will tell you. Okay. Okay. For performing Rust language, we need to set up our environment. For that, we need to install some libraries. Our IBC media expert Silva sir has given a deep walkthrough. Let's see the video. And we'll also see our first program, which is Hello World program in this video.
Deepak, you'll need to share your audio.
Sorry?
You need to share the audio. We cannot hear the audio. Can't hear the audio. think you have a option to share the audio, right?
Yes. So Deepak, are you seeing that option? Have you allowed the option from Zoom?
Let me see. Let me again share my screen.
Yeah.
Now are you able to?
No. So if you see on Zoom,
Yeah.
the Zoom tabs on the right, you will see view options. So if you click that, you will see share sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear now.
I'm just going to give a very fast walkthrough. So one is go to the rust-lang.org site, and you can look into the install directions. Okay, you have to download the rust -init. So if yours is a 64-bit machine, then in that case download this and run it, and that will do all the Rust installation for you. Okay, you don't have to do anything else. However, remember, this may require Visual Studio C++ build tools. This does, because Rust has dependencies on Visual C++ libraries on Windows. So if you click on this link, Visual C++ build tools, you can go in here. You can just download the build tools and you can install it. So you can just click on this and we add build tools. So this is one way. Okay. So what it recommends is Visual Studio C++ build tools. You can just run the installer and you can install all the build tools. Okay, so if you are on Linux, then in that case, just this command, this curl command. Okay, this entire thing, just copy it and put it in the Mac OS, or you can use it on Linux as well. That will do the installation. You don't have to do any separate build tool instance, because they are all part of the standard Linux and Mac OS system. So you don't have to worry about that at all. On Windows, you do have a dependency on the Visual C++ build. Okay, here's one thing. The other thing is, if you don't have it installed, you can always go to the playground. Okay, there is a playground available. So this is a Rust playground, wherein you can actually type your code, and that in turn will give you all this. Say for instance, I just write some code. I'll just size a bit, okay. And so let's say and macro and say
So guys, if you
you can
have
just
any questions, you
run
can
it.
drop it in the
So the
Q&A.
installation progress. But then again, for using the playground, you need a stable internet connection. So you see there, here is the output. So in case if you have not yet installed Rust, you can code along with me using the Rust playground. Okay, so this is a nice tool to have, which you can utilize. Okay. And as far as the learning part is concerned, so if you go to the learn link in here, okay, so here is you have the read the book. So this is the Rust book, and there is also Rust by example. So these are the two standard references which you should be using. And in fact, I'm going to use this only for the purpose of teaching you. Okay. So here are all the different types of things that you can possibly do. Okay, so this is Rust by example, but I would recommend that you go to Rust programming language. This is a Rust book available in PDF format also. I think you can find it somewhere. And then in here, if you see, the installation instructions are neatly given in there, so you can follow through if you have not installed it yet. Okay, and then we go to our first hello. Now, when you do the installation, you can actually get all the information about the installation also. So Rust C is your compiler, okay, right? And Rust Up is the tool that actually installs all your tool chain for doing the Rust development. Okay, right. So what you need to do is, and also for the IDE, I'm going to use the Visual Studio Code. You can go to code.visualstudio.com and you can download it for your platform and install that. I do have a couple of extensions installed which help me with the Rust development. That also we will see a little later. Okay. So first thing first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up my command prompt window. And if you are on Linux, then obviously you can open up your terminal. Okay. Now, in the command prompt window, so initial Rust we will do, we can do it on any platform, but for the subscript development we'll be using Linux. So you will need a virtual machine, or you can always create a virtual machine in AWS, have a free account created, and you can work there also in case if you want to do so. Right. So here I have actually created. Okay. So the first thing is I'm going to create a new directory, IBC CEP Continuous Education Program, and I will cd into it. So if I see the directory right now, this is empty. Now what I want to do is I want to create a simple Rust file, and you don't need an entire IDE. You can simply use Notepad also to do that. Okay, so you can do that as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up Notepad. I know this is the worst tool actually to be using. Okay, but yeah, so for us it's good enough. And in here I'll just create a function name, and I'll have a function say hello Rust. And I save this. So when you save this, okay, okay, I'll do one thing. Different way of doing it. I'll just say Notepad, and I'll create a new file, call it as hello rust.rs. Okay, Rust files always end with the .rs extension. It says, do you want to create a new file? I'll say yes, and I'll create a function name. And
Sir, do you want to add in this?
no, let go. If the participants are having any questions, they can.
Yeah, so Selva sir and Deepak, I would request you to just keep a check on Q&A section, because there are a few queries over there some students ask. So please address
So
them while we.
I see Asia Javina Rust. So this we have to download the Rust app. No, it's not a Rust app. It is actually a Rust development compiler and development environment. So you have to install that. But however, if you want to work without installation, as was shown in the video, you can always use the Rust playground. Okay. However, once you want to really do serious development, it's better to download and install the Rust compiler or the Rust installation that is available on the Rust site. Rust extension is .rst. Yes, it is so. And what else? Okay. Any other questions, please? Okay, so we can go ahead. Can we do it phone? What exactly are you trying to say? I don't understand. So whether you want to do it on your phone? Well, serious developers never do that on phone. Okay. Anyway, but that site is available. So on the site you can actually do Rust development. I mean, simple small programs, but I would not recommend that. Can you please the name of the compiler again, Sabarish? So Sabarish, you can go to the rustlang.org site. You have everything over there.
Can
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
Deepak, you can have.
Yeah.
Rust, and I'll save this. So now if I go back to my command prompt window and see the directory, I can see that hello Rust is there. And you can check the content. So on in the command prompt window, you have the command called type, and then give hello rust.rst. So it will show you the content of the file. So the first thing what you need to do is you have to compile the code. So you have to compile the code. You have the rest. So a couple of things we do is that we use a couple of tools there. So rust -version will give you the version of your Rust compiler 1.64. And as a project build tool, we have something called as cargo. Cargo -version that will give you the cargo version 1.64. Okay, so this is the latest one. And in case if you want to update your tool chain, you can always use rust up. Okay, and you can check what it can do by using rust up -help. You can say show, update, check, default, tool chain, target, all this. Okay. It's all very neatly explained in the Rust book also. So rust up -book to learn Rust. So you can open up that out. So if you want to update your Rust installation, all you need to do is simply say rust up update. Okay, and it will download the newer version of cargo and also the libraries required, and it will do that. Okay. Doesn't take much time though. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another command prompt window. So I'll just close this for now, and I'll do an update offline later on. So you see src, there is this .gitignore file. Okay, this is used for ignoring everything non-essential stuff into your repository, GitHub repository. Then you have the cargo toml file, which is where you actually configure your project. All the project configurations go in here. So you will see these configurations come in the form of sections. So this is one section, package. Another section is dependency. So the package, under the package, we are saying what is the name of our project. So there is CEP section 1, what is the version and what is the addition, and see more keys and the definitions that this Rustlang out. So you can just click on this and find out all the manifest information. Under the dependencies section, right now we don't have any dependencies, so we're going to leave it at that. Later we will start adding dependencies when you want to add external libraries. Okay. At src, you will find there is a main.rs already created for you. Okay. So has already been created, which has a hello world program in there. So this is the boilerplate code that you already have. So how do I run this? Now, two ways. One is you can go back to the command prompt and do it, or what you can do is in the view you can terminal. You can create a new terminal. So this will open up the terminal for you. In the terminal, you'll see you are already in the project folder only. So this is a very good thing that happens with terminal. Now, here, in order to run this command, Rust program, see there are two steps to be done. One, you have to build. The other is to run. Okay. So I'll do cargo build. That is finished. Now see, the moment cargo build was done, you see a new folder target was created. That you have all the Rust information and so on and so forth, and the debug symbols and data and so on and so forth. And okay, and this is your exe file. Okay, this is your exe file under the debug. Now, once you have done the build and there are no errors, you can now say cargo run. When you do cargo run, see what happens. Hello world is displayed. Is it running? It is running the target debug CEP session 1.exe. So project name.exe is the executable that is created. Of course, there is also a shortcut. What I can do is I can delete this target folder. Okay, so the target folder is no longer there. And now, if I do cargo build, again it will be created. However, the shortcut is that you can actually do a cargo run directly. So cargo run directly, automatically it says, hey, there is no build has happened. So first it will say, it will compile it, and then finishing the optimal debug, and then it will start running. In the previous case, when I did cargo run, it has already finished it there, and so there is no compilation happens. Okay. So compilation happens when you do a cargo build. So where compilation happens, and when you do a cargo run, it will simply keep running. No compilation. Whereas here compilation, if it sees that it has not been compiled, it will compile, and then the target generated, and then it will run the target file. That is the executable file. Okay. Okay. So Deepak, we have a couple of questions in the Q&A. So one was, what is the editor we are using? So the editor we are using, or ID that we are using is Visual Studio Code. Okay. So then the other question is, this is how to install Rust in the system, or did I miss that part? Okay. So installation already is shown in the video. You can go to the YouTube channel and you can watch the video all over again. So basically, go to the rustlang.org site, click on the install link, and there you will get all the instructions, and you should be good to go. Okay. Right. Bhuvan Sai Krishna is asking what is meant by dependencies in Rust. See, when you hear the term dependency in development, okay, it simply means any external resource like a library that you need in order for your code to run. That's what a dependency really is. Okay, that's what dependency is. So, Bhuvan, I hope that answers the question. Okay, so Mohammed Abdul Ikram says it is similar to npm init, right? Oh well, don't confuse between various tools. All of them, they do the same kind of stuff. Okay, so so basically, you are trying to say when you are using cargo new, essentially you are creating a new project. It is similar but not actually. Let's not even compare it with npm. So essentially, it allows you to create a empty project with some amount of boilerplate code. Okay, and you will also hear the term boilerplate code. What boilerplate code really means is that when you use this cargo tool to create a new project, you will already have some default code in it. That default code, so basically when you're creating that project, it's a fully functional project. You can actually run it. Okay. So that's the reason that code is what is called as boilerplate code. So that you can actually test the newly created project without even writing single line of code. Okay. So Mohammed Abdul, I hope it answers your question, right? Okay, so let's continue.
Okay, yeah, one more thing is you can also use IntelliJ editor. That is also is usable. Okay, let's continue on this. Now, we'll see what is data type. A data type is a classification of data which tells the compiler or interpreter how the programmer intends to use the data. Most programming language supports various types of data, including integers, real characters, or string, booleans. Likewise, we have several data types in Rust. We'll understand few of them. Let me share my screen and explain better. Okay, let's divide the name data and type. We have a name data and type. Okay. My screen is visible now, right? What we
Yes,
am
it is.
writing here.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. We have a data like we can have a number like 2, 2.5, or we can have a true. So we have a several types of data. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to give this data a type. Like we can say this is a integer type, and we give this name as a float type, and we give this as a boolean. So what we have done is we actually give a data to a type so that we can identify easily what type of data is coming. Okay, let's do some exercise. So can you tell me what is the data type of X here? Yeah, it's correct. It is a Boolean type. Let's again do it one more time. Okay, like we have a, yeah, we have a. Now, can anyone guess what is the data type of X here? Yeah, array, tuple, float, int, float, int. Yeah, guys. Guys, we have a number 194, and we are seeing only 10 to 15 comments. Okay. Now the data type of X here is a tuple. We'll understand this data type in next slide. Okay, before next slide, any doubt until now? Okay, let's go ahead.
So scalar types are, when you say scalar types, it means they can only hold one value at a time. The variables can only hold one value at a time. So what are the different primary scalar types? You have integers, floating point, numbers, floating point numbers, booleans, and characters. You do have strings, but they are not scalar types. Okay, so they are compound types. So integer types, you have various integer types from starting from 8-bit to 16, 32, 64, and 128-bit. And these can be signed as well as unsigned. So it can be, so if it is signed, you say I8 for an 8-bit integer. U8 means unsigned 8-bit integer. And I16 means 16-bit signed integer. And U16 means unsigned 16-bit integer, and so on and so forth. There is also ARC, which is architecture specific. This is called as I size and U size. Okay. So signed size and unsigned size. So basically, this size refers to word length of your processor. So if you are using a 64-bit processor, so you will get 64 bits. ARC will be 64 bits. Right. Now, integer literals, when you say in Rust, you can also use either decimals. You can also use hexadecimals directly. You can use octal values. You can use binary values, and you can also use byte values. Byte values are always unsigned, 8-bit integer. Okay. So if you want to use decimals, you can say so 98 underscore 222. So you see, this is 98,222. So let me just show you actually usage in here. So I'm going to delete this or maybe so if you want to create a variable, what do? You use the statement called let. By the variable name. Okay. So we say, let's say n is signed, and you can just give any value, say 55. And I can just print it out. And we give a placeholder, and we say n. Save this and do a cargo run. It will automatically compile. There are no errors. So see, value of n is 55. Okay. However, so if you see here, when I bring the cursor in here, what happens is the compiler actually automatically infers what type it should be. Okay. So, okay. So now I can actually mention, hey, I want this n to be an 8-bit unsigned integer. So I can say U8. Right. And you put a after the name, when you put a colon and then you mention the what type it is. So this in Rust is called as, so let me just put it like this. So I have n and let's say let x U8 unsigned int 8, and this is equal to 45. Now, so and I just run this. So Okay, so this definition that you're seeing here, okay, so this is without type information. So what will happen in this case is that this case the compiler will automatically for the type based on the value assigned to the variable. Okay, and whereas here what we are doing is we are giving the type information explicitly. Okay, so this is where we use table definition with type annotation. So in Rust parlance, okay, when you mention, so it U8 is in C, C++, Java, we call them as type specifiers, right? Where in Rust we call them as type annotation. Okay, so you are annotating the basically annotation means to add additional information. Okay, so X saying that a X has to be of unsigned integer of 8-bit type. Right. So similarly, I can create Boolean variables. So I can say let b is signed or bool variable is assigned true, and if I print the value, convert the identifier to snake case. Yes. So this is one thing I wanted to show you. Okay. So Rust does not actually, like, this sort of casing. So what Rust wants is that you should use snake case. So instead of defining it like this, okay, right? Okay. So So, so I'm going to change it to underscore. And now I take argument. Oh, sorry. We also comma. Yeah. You can see, when you see the error messages, they are quite explicit, and there is no language better at giving you debug information when something goes wrong in a program than Rust. And one of the most tough compiler messages to actually comprehend that I have encountered practically in all these years, all these decades rather, is the Perl compiler. So the kind of output it generates, okay, literally you'll break your head making sense of what it is actually saying. Okay, and it requires quite some experience to get used to what it says and what it actually means in the real world. Okay, right. So now let's run this again and see. Now it is running, and you see it. Okay, so you have Boolean, but I can actually, let's say if I give say 2 greater than 3, something like this, and I save this, I run this. So it knows that the expression is actually going to result in a Boolean value. Okay. Now, if you want to do a type annotation, you can do that. Okay. So you could do that. So if we go back to our book, so you see for Boolean, okay, for floating point we use F. Okay. For Boolean we use the bool type annotation. Okay. So we put up colon and then bool. So this is the type annotation. And if I put 2 less than 3 and I save this and run it, bool var is true. Right now, if we look at the values also, you can give values in decimal, hexadecimal, octal, binary, and in byte format also. Okay, so if you want to give hexadecimal, use 0x just like in C, C++, and 0O for octal, 0B for binary, and just B, okay, prefix to the character for a byte. Okay, so let me give you a simple example. So suppose, for instance, okay, I wish to create a variable. So let's say let salary. Okay. Now I want this to be a decimal value, so that is integer. So let's say I32, which is pretty big enough, and I want to give, let's say 1,25,000. Okay. So is salary, and then if I run this, it's coming as salary. Now, however, we want this to be readable. So what we can do is I can put underscore. I can say, okay, 1,25,000 like this. If I put it like this, okay, and I run this, I still get the value. However, when I'm reading the code, it's very clear. Okay, so to break this numeric literal 1,25,000 into 1 lakh and then 25 and then 1,000, so you could do that by putting up underscore. In fact, it's not like you have to put it here only. If I put like this, and I save this and run it, see what happens. It works. So this makes for better readable. Of course, yes. Now it is not readable, right? So I just remove it and make it more readable. So you can use underscore wherever you want to break that literal. Okay, but the compiler knows what this value is. It will remove this and then remove these underscores and then get the value and then put it over. Okay, now there is something to be kept in mind. Okay, so let's create a hexadecimal value. So let x val is fine. Okay. So I can give it as 0x ff 2, something like this, and let's check it out. Okay, so similarly, let oct value. So for oct we use 0o, and then there's a 2, 4, 7, brilliant. You know that in octal you cannot have digits more than 7, right? 0 to 7. And let binary value assigned. So it's 0B. Okay, so as I showed you here, so it's 0B followed by order. So let's say I want 1100 and 0011. So I can actually, to make it a little readable, I can again put underscore in there and let byte value and then use B, and then you can give any character, like say for instance A. And let's print it out. So to keep it simple, I'm just going to say X octal binary and byte X12 octal binary byte. Okay. And let's run this. Let me print it. Oh yeah, this is a mistake I made so often coming from other programming languages. Then X12 65530. It will all be converted to decimal equivalent. Okay. Later on, I will show you how you can actually print it out in the format that you want. So formatted IO will come a little later. Okay. So for now, whatever values are there, their equivalent in decimal is what we are going to see here. So you see, byte 12 for the letter A is nothing but the ASCII value. ASCII value is 65 in decimal. That is what we are getting. Okay. For the floating points, again the same is the case as you would have used with any other programming language. So I will not get into too many details of that. So you can actually read it out for yourself. Okay. Now, if we go back to our Rust book, so here it talks about the functions, comments, and control flow. So variables and mutability is what I want to actually show you in there. And of course, please do read upon the numeric operations, plus, minus, multiplication, division, and modulus operator using the percent symbol. Okay, and there are the character types. Now coming to the compound types. Okay, so essentially, compound types are nothing but a collection of values. Okay, that's all there is to it. Scalar types will actually contain only one single value at a time. Compound types can actually store multiple values at a time. You can think of them like arrays. Okay, you can think of them as lists. You can think of them as maps and so on and so on. All these are compound because they can actually store multiple values. Okay, so that's why these are also commonly called as collections, because they actually hold collection of values. And in Rust we call them as compound types. Okay, so as far as compound types are concerned, in Rust you have two types of basic compound types. These are coming from the core language, not as part of the collections framework that the standard library brings in. This is part of the core language itself. Okay, so tuple type and the array type. Okay, so let's build some tuple and see. So what I'm going to do is I am going to select this entire thing. I'm going to comment it out, because I want to use only one main array. Or I could use the other way, which we will see tomorrow when we have multiple files. So today let's work with single file itself. Right. So fn is the keyword to define a function. Main is just like your main function in C, C++, Java, and almost many other programming languages. Right. Now, tuple types. So when you want to create a tuple type, what you essentially do is first understand what is a tuple type. Okay. Tuple is a collection of heterogeneous types. Okay. What does it mean? So let me show you. So let TUP is assigned. So what it is, I have 10, 20, and 5.67. Okay. So I've got two integers. Okay. One floating point value and one Boolean value. That's what I meant. And right. So now if I try to print it out, okay. So integer, float, bool cannot be formatted with the default formatter. Okay. Now this is something that you have to keep in mind. So basically, if you want to use this, so what you need to do is you will have to use format like this. This is for the debug formatting. Okay. And I save this and come back up here. So now you can see it's called as debug formatting. And if you see in here, it's actually quite extensive the way it actually explains. So in formatting, you may be able to use this or colon hash question mark for petty print instead. Okay. Note this error originates from the macro $create format argument n1, which comes from the expansion of macro println and so on. Okay. So what it says is that you can also use colon and then hash question mark. I save this. This is called as for petty print. And now it looks like this. So you see in the previous run, we got it on the same line. The next run, so it will actually do a pretty print. Okay, this is a formatter output. Now, what actually goes on is that it's actually a collection of multiple values. Okay, now when you give these values 10, 20, 5, and 6, 7, and false, it automatically, if you see here the first time when we did integer, float, and bool, it actually automatically inferred the types. It has actually inferred the types. You can be, suppose if you want to create a tuple, okay. Type annotation, you can say let T2, which is another tuple. Okay. So if you want to be specific, so you can do it like this. Okay. Then put a parenthesis and all the collection types. Okay. I'll say I32 and say bool float or say F32 and then I32. And then I can give the value. So suppose if I give 1, 1, the language server is not running, I guess. That's why I'm not getting all the and I'll go to the extension and look for work. Oh, I have not installed it. It's Rust Analyzer. Yes, now it's installed. Oh, that is there in my Linux box. Okay, so now it is installed. Okay. There it is. You should be able to see it. Now you see, immediately I'll see get compile warning. Mismatch type, expected bool, found integer. So when you use a type annotation, what happens is you are essentially telling, hey, you know what, I want the tuple, but the sequence of value should be of this order. Okay, the value should be of this type in this order only. Obviously, one is not a fit, so let's take this true. We'll have an error. So it's a use of float literal. So if you want to give, let's say, for instance, 10.0, okay, for floating literals, what you can do is just put 10 point, and that is enough. Okay, and again in I32. So, okay. And here, if you see, there's a quickly here it says this is intentional prefixes underscore and so on and so forth. So it is actually telling you, hey, you are not using this. Basically, it's an unused variable T2. Okay, because we're not used it in our code. So if I put this like this, okay, Franklin 2 is, and I put colon question mark, okay, then T2. I save this, the error will be gone. Now the compile errors will only go after you rectified and then you save the file, okay, right? And now if I go and run this, it is coming as 1, 2, 10.0 and 1, okay. At times, suppose if I remove this or comment this line, again I'm going to get this error. And in fact, if I run this, I'll get warning. So run and you say, hey, help if this is intentional. So the code does run, but it is showing a warning. Hey, you know what? You do have, you know, an unused variable. Okay. So you have an unused variable. So unused variable C2. So suppose if this is intentional, then in that case, what you can do is if you put an underscore in front of it and save it, the error will be gone. And in fact, you won't see that warning here as well. The warning is all gone. This is how actually you can say that, hey, you know what, I am using some unused variables. Okay. But now if I put this again, I get it. So if you are actually trying to develop something and you want that, hey, I might have unused variables in my code, but because I'm just in the process of building, you can use annotations like this. Okay, so allow unused if you say this like this, now you see, even if you're not use it, you will not get that warning. But again, remember, this is not a good idea to use. Okay, when you're a beginner, this is fine. But as you go on, you should not have allow unused variables annotation, you know, inside of your production code at all. No way, you should not have it. Okay, I always keep saying, you know, just because you can does not mean you should. Okay, so that's the rule you should always follow. Because it allows you to do doesn't mean that you have to put that in production code. No, 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 no. There's a reason behind this. When you're developing and maybe building logic and you don't want the warnings to crop up here and there, and you have not yet finished the program, you know that somewhere down the line, the code is actually going to use a certain variable which you declared way up ahead. Okay. Then to avoid those, you can put this up. But then once you move to production, you should remove all these. Okay. Right. Similarly, there is another you know, annotation popularly used by beginner programmers. Allow and then say code. Okay, this is even bigger no. Okay, right? Right? You can use this also. So detect unused exported items and all those kinds of things. Okay, so you should never ever do this. During development, fine, okay, as a new beginner, but as you gain experience, you should not use this. It's not meant for people who are experienced and those who don't want to make mistakes. Okay, right. Okay. So tuple is used to collect, you know, and you know, it's basically values of different types into one single element. Okay, right. Now, if you want to access individual elements inside of the tuple, so you can say, okay, how do you do that? Say, you can say, so I want to access first element. Let's call it as first, second, third. Yes. So fourth. So these are the elements, okay, from T2. So in order to access them, you do it like this: T2 dot 0, T2 dot 1, T2 dot 2, and T2 dot 3, like this. So in order to access individual elements, what you do is you say T2 dot followed by the index value, okay, the position. And the position index will always start from the 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay. So if I save this and run this, 1, true, 10, and then 4, right? Okay. So it's coming out the way you want it. That's tuple for you guys. So now question is, where can I put it to use? So let's say, for instance, maybe tuples are kind of a stripped down versions of structures. The only difference between the structures and tuples is that structures have fields with specific names. Tuples don't have names. That is the reason tuple dot and then followed by the index position of the element is what is actually given. If this were a structure, then in that case, you would actually use the name of the field. That's the difference. Okay. So when you want a lightweight structure without any symbol information in the form of field name, that's where tuples are actually useful. Okay. Right. Now, another compound type that we use is the arrays. Okay. Now, arrays behave exactly like the way they do in other languages as well. Okay. And so you can create, let's say, let my array is assigned and then simply assign 10, 20, 30, 20. Deepak, can you just pause the video for a second? Okay, so there's one important question, like what is meant by dead code? I see somebody has asked that question. So essentially dead code means if you have a function declared in your code, but you're not using it, that's what a dead code is. So sometimes we, during the development, okay, you might write some functions, but forget to use it. Then to avoid the warnings of unused code, we use the allow dead code annotation. Okay, so that's the answer to the question. Deepak, you may continue. Now you can see that it automatically it has detected that it is of type I32 and there are 3 elements in it. So if you want to be explicit, so for instance, I can define this. Say, hey, I want this my array to be of type. It's an array. Okay, we put a square bracket, which means array. In the array, you have to give first the data type. So let's say I32, and then how many values you want. Let's say 5, and then you can initialize this. Okay. And if you don't give it like this, then in that case, it will automatically import it. I think, oh, sorry, not comma. I have to put a semicolon in there. Okay. And save. And we're done. And now you can print it out also. Print line macro. And my array. Now again, remember, we are not using any formatting, so let's see. Okay. See there, 32.5 doesn't implement standard format, but it has automatically given us. So when you have compound types, you cannot use empty parent curly braces. You have to use that for printing them out. And now if I run this, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and want to access the individual element. Okay. So, so let's just change the name. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now here we use the indexing syntax. A0, okay, A1, okay, and A0. One more thing you would notice that the last statement in a block does not need to have an ending, semicolon. Even though you should always have this anyway, right? So now if I go back and run this, you see here A0 is 1, A1 is 2. Okay, so this is your array type. Now the important thing is to define an array, you need to define what type array it is, okay? Which means that an array is a collection of homogeneous types, okay? All the values should be of the same type. So if I put, let's say, for instance, here, 2.4, of course, I'm going to get an error because it is exceeding the limit, mismatch type, okay, found floating point. And also the other problem is that even if I put only 2 and save this, okay, you're getting an error because you've got 6 elements. Constructed an array with a fixed size of 5 elements, found one with 6 elements. So now the error is gone. So one is that the types must be the same, and if you have statically allocated the arrays, so now arrays are always statically allocated, which means that during the compile time itself, compiler knows what the size of this type is and actually allocates memory just enough to fit this array in memory. Okay, so the size must be known to the compiler. So array sizes should be known to the compiler. Okay, so that is something that you have to keep in mind. Okay, now let's do some user input. Okay. Now, when you want to do some user input, okay, what you have to do is you have to bring in the IO library. Okay, you have to use stdio. I'll just copy this and put it for sake of saving time. Use stdio. This is the library that is used from the standard library. And if you go on to the IO, it will show you the module is IO. So stdio module contains number of common things you need when doing input and output. The most core part of this is read and write trace. Okay, so I will take you to. So suppose you want to open a file open. So this is coming from std file system file, and let's say you want to read some input. So stdio for reads and out, the standard input and output. Okay, so you can use IO std in and then do a read line and then pass in the string. Okay, so let's just take this piece of code. Right. So whatever input you do on std, IO std in, okay, say, so basically you're trying to read from the standard input, you are going to read a line, okay, and we are going to read it into this input variable, okay, and this variable should be of the type string, and also it should be mutable. So anyway, so mutability is what we will see a little later. So you have to pass in a mutable reference, okay? And then you can get the output input.trim. So this will basically returns a string slice with leading and trailing white space, which is removed. Okay, so you can actually run it directly over here. So if I run this here, okay, does it say? Okay. The question operator can only be used in a function that returns result or option. Where is it? Oh, okay. Right. So I don't want to do that. Loss is handled. Read the input line. Okay. Result may be an error variant which should be handled. Okay. So Rusty is saying that it has to be handled. So what we need to do is, if we put this up in here, okay, and then we have to return, okay, type. Okay, so basically what it is saying is that if you're trying to copy this, okay, so you have to return a result type. Okay, so for now I'll just and come back to it a little bit. We'll use another example for that. Okay. Right. So because I do not want to confuse you a lot. Okay, so so for instance, suppose here we have copy this code and put it over here. So let me say what this is. Right. So we have used the stdio module, and we are defining an array. And to take the index of the array as an input to display the value. So what we are doing is we are creating a string variable, because everything that is read from the standard input is actually a string, or to say a string variable. It's actually a string. So you will have to take a string as an input, and then you have to turn it into an integer. So how do you do that? So basically, you first do the read line, okay, and so into this index variable. Now this index will change, because when you do an input, what will happen? The input that you're given, that will change, right? So obviously this has to be mutable. So we'll come to that point a little later. And so what we are passing into the read line is actually a mutable reference, because the reference will change, and this in turn returns the result, and we say okay, expect. So with a read line, you use an expect in order to say, okay, you know what, in case if something fails, then you display this error, fail to read line. Okay. Then you take index, okay, of type usize, and then what we do is we take the string index and we trim it, and then we parse it, and then parsing can also fail. Okay. So in that case, we put out a message saying index entered was not a number. And so we get the element by passing in the index into the array, and then we display that. Okay. Unused result that must be used. Then this result may be another variant. It should be handled. Okay. Right. Okay. So now I'll open up a new terminal and do cargo run. So array index. So you see, we have inside the array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the index will be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right. So if I give, let's say 3, get the value 4 at index 3. Now if I run this again and I give something like say 10, see what happens. Okay, please enter the thread main panicked at index out of bounds. The length is 5, but the index is 10. So if you try to access any index, okay, out of the bounds, then in that case you are going to get errors. Okay, This is the standard behavior of the array. So you could actually use this std as std in on the IO module, std in function, and get the std in object, and then you read a line from there, and then always remember to read a line into a mutable string reference. Okay, and then also you need to use an expect. If not expect, then you'll have to return a result type from the main function, which we will not go into that those details. Okay. So just remember to put this expect, okay, after the read line. Deepak, you can actually stop the video. If you want to avoid that, then in that case, yeah. So guys, you have access to this video, so remaining part you can actually watch it on YouTube as well. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is to show you some amount of the if statement. Okay, so that we are almost nearing 9 o'clock. Okay, so I will explain this verbally. So let me share my screen. So Deepak, can you stop your screen share so that I can start sharing? Okay, you. So can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Right. So guys, so as far as the control flow is concerned, that all of you know, since you said, I'm hoping that all of you are coming from this, programming background. So you know what control flow is. So basically, it allows you to branch out to different parts of the program, okay, based upon certain logic or certain conditions, right? These sometimes are also called as conditional statements, but the control flow is the actual term that needs to be used. So the simplest one is obviously the if statement. In Rust, we call them as if expression. Okay. Now this is again I'm showing you from the Rust programming language, the Rust book, so that we can finish it up faster. So the simplest if statement looks like this. You have if and then followed by a condition, and then you just write whatever you want. If the condition is true, then this expression or this statement will be executed. If the condition is false, then this part will be executed. Okay. Now, important thing is you don't have to use else in case if you do not want it. That is, you want to execute the statement when the condition is true and don't want to do anything when the condition is false. You can just drop the else part. Now, in the Rust book on the site, you also have an option to run the code right inside of the browser itself. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do in order to avoid typing the commands and stuff like that, because we are about to reach the closing of the session. So we'll be talking about the if statement there. So I can just run it right away here. So if you run this, so I'm trying running, and you will see the output. So the condition of, so I can see. So the number has been initialized to 0, and the condition we are testing is if the number is less than 5. So if the number is less than 5, then it will print condition was true. If it is false, then in that case it will say condition is false. You can also modify or edit the code if you want to do so. Okay, we'll see that. Okay, so let's just see here. Okay, so if you change the number to say something like number is 7, and then if you run this, then in that case you will get the condition was false. So because 7 is less than 5, the condition becomes false, and that's the output you will get. Now, here in place editing is not allowed, so you will have to copy this code and put it into your editor and then use it. Okay. Now, if you see here, so the else part is actually optional. So if you see here, we are saying, okay, let number is 3 and if number. Now, if you are coming from C and C++ background, then in that case, even JavaScript also, you can actually treat numeric values as Boolean. Okay. However, Rust does not allow you to do that. You cannot use, say, for instance, in C and C++, if you have a numeric value, a value of 0 is considered false, any non-zero value is considered true. So, in fact, this condition would be true if evaluated in the context of C or C++. However, Rust, expects you to have a Boolean expression here. So just putting up a numeric value will not work. Instead, you will have to actually write an expression, or you can have a Boolean variable there. So any Boolean value or a Boolean variable is expected, or an expression, Boolean expression. So if you try to run this, you're going to expect you're going to run into a problem, and it's going to show you expected bool, and it is finding an integer. So you have to be explicit, and you have to use Boolean expressions over there, conditional expression. Okay. Right now, so now, for instance, if I say let number is 3, and then if I am testing if number is not equal to 0, then number was something other than 0. So now you can see there is no else in here. Okay. If I run this, that number was something other than 0. So else is actually optional. If you really want to do something when the condition goes false, okay, then in that case you would use an else. Now, if you want to change multiple conditions, so this is what we call this as handling multiple conditions itself. So you have if, and so what I'm doing is we are initializing the number to 6, and then we're testing if number modulus 4 is 0, then we say the number is divisible by 3. If number modulus 3 is 0, then it is divisible by 3. Sorry, it's divisible by 4 in here. 3. Number modulus 2 is 0, then it is divisible by 2. Otherwise, number is not divisible by 4, 3, or 2. Right. So this is the code. Now, see what happens. Actually, the number 6 is not divisible by 3. Right. So this condition is false. So what will happen is it will go into the else part, and it will evaluate this expression. Okay. So this says that it is divisible by 3. So it is going to print this out, and it will immediately come out. So it is not going to check the following conditions at all. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. So if I run this and see, the output I get is number is divisible by 3. Okay. Right. You can also use the if statement in a if expression in a let statement. So this is the reason why it's not called as an if statement. We call this as if expression. Right. Expressions can be used to evaluate something and then assign it to a variable, right? So that's why you can use an if instead of let statement. So just like you say let condition is true, you can also say let number equal to, and then you can write this. If condition, the value is 5, otherwise the value is 6, and then you can print this out. So I can see the condition is true. So if the condition is true, what is being returned is the value 5. So the number will turn out to be 5. Okay, and not 6. Now, if you use this if expression like this, this is equivalent to your conditional operator. Okay, the ternary operator that you use in C, C++, Java, C#, all these languages is the same thing, but it's actually more verbose. Okay, so if I run this, you will see that the value turns out to be 5. Yes. Okay. So you can take an if expression, but the expression must return a value. So just writing a value as an independent statement will become the return value. So that is actually assigned to a number. Okay. So you see here. Okay. Now condition is true, and that number is condition, and then we say 5 else 6. Now you see what is happening. In the true part, we are returning an integer, and in the else part, we are actually in the false part, we are actually returning a string. This is not acceptable, because if this is the case, then what happens is the compiler cannot assign or it cannot infer the type of the variable. So whatever is being returned in this part or this part, in the if part or the else part, they need to be of the same data type. Otherwise, you will get an error. So you can actually see the error you will get is like this. Okay, here it saw an integer. That is assuming that probably the number is integer. But in the else part, you are giving a string. So it says, hey, it is I'm expecting an integer. Whereas you are actually giving a string slice, or this is called as a string slice, or simply put, string itself. This is not acceptable. So therefore, the data type of the value that is being returned on the if side and the else side should exactly be the same. Okay, right. Any questions? Okay, someone is saying I'm confused, sir. What is that confusion? If you are confused, you need to let us know what the confusion is. Okay, so there's one anonymous person who's saying, please say what you are pressing from keyboard also. So on the web page, you have to actually click on that play button. Okay, you don't have a keyboard shortcut for that, unfortunately. Does Rust have a conditional operator like this? No, it does not. The if expression is used as a conditional. Mohammed, what you're writing as a ternary operator or the conditional operator, that is what the if expression is. If, and then you write a condition, and then in the so this is equivalent to the ternary operator that you're using. Okay. Right, and Surendra Baldireddy is saying that I'm confused with the user input. I can't understand. For now, just leave it at that. Okay, we'll explain in the upcoming session. Okay, so that will become clear to you because it is using some features of Rust. You are not, you have not been introduced. Okay. Any other questions, please? Okay, guys. So I think we'll close it here. Now I think the quiz will start. Okay. So all of you are required to attempt the quiz. So Deepak Singh, it's over to you.
Yeah, so sir, one question over here.
Yeah.
Surendra has asked, I'm confused with the user. Can you just
Yeah. So
check that?
right. Okay. So let me just show you here. So yeah, I just told. So in the upcoming session, we'll have detailed explanation of how the user input is working. Deepak, can you just? I'll just stop my share and I'll explain it. So can you just share your screen, Deepak Chaudhary, where the input is there in the video?
Yeah. The PPT one or the ID?
The ID where readline has been used in the SQL.
Okay. Let me open.
Yeah, so just
GitHub.
no, in your video that you're showing. So I think that is already there on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
This. Can you explain this?
okay.
So-
You can show.
Yeah,
So
Mr. Silva.
basically-
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, please. Fine.
No, I'm asking that if this is something which you want to cover in the next session, we could do that. It's already 9,
Right,
10.
right. So that's what I see. So I will
Yes.
explain it in the upcoming session.
Yeah, so this particular topic is anyway planned to be covered in the next session, that is tomorrow. So why don't we, Deepak, why don't we get to the quiz right now and start the quiz? Please share the quiz and please go ahead.
Yes, sir. I have shared the link in chat box.
So guys, the quiz link has been shared in the chat window. Please attempt the quiz. Make sure that you attempt the quiz with the email ID with which you have registered for the program and for the session, so that we can map your attendance with the quiz. That is very important. Please take 15 minutes time. Right now it is 9:10. So, please try to finish the quiz by, it should not take more than 10 minutes. So try to finish it by 9:20 or 25. And once you are done with the quiz, you can sign off and we will see you in tomorrow's session. Okay. So please, all the best. Thank you. And the quiz will be active until 9:30. So 9:30, we will be closing the quiz. So you have to take the quiz next 20 minutes max.